Hey everyone, how's it going? Nexy here. Thanks as always for tuning into my videos. So I know a lot of you guys have been requesting the fates of the Diablo 2 characters. I did a recent video on the fates of our Diablo 1 characters. So if you want to see that, at the end of the video there will be a link on the screen for you to check out that video if you want to see it. So for today's video, we're going to be diving into the futures of our Amazon character, the Necromancer, the Barbarian. If you played Diablo 2 all those years ago, or even maybe you still play Diablo 2 today like I do, you might have wondered what happened to our cool characters. So we're going to be starting in order with a couple of random facts of each character, and then we're going to go into what happened to them after Diablo 2 if we have any information to go on. So in order, we have the Amazon first. The Amazon's name is Cassia. I really like that name, and she's actually a playable hero in Heroes of the Storm. She looks straight up like Wonder Woman. It's just really cool. So the Amazon's name is Cassia, and the oracles of her people, the Ascari, foretold that the fall of the Three was just the beginning. So they needed an army to fight the future coming threats of, Sanctuary in terms of hell. So they believe that this is not just one fight. They know there are future wars coming, apparently. So they want to prepare for these future wars. So when Diablo resurfaces in Diablo 2, the Amazon Cassia is sent to Honduras to join a group of heroes, which are the other Diablo 2 characters, and they defeat Diablo. After Lord of Destruction, she decides to return to Skovos to prepare her army for the next great battle in Sanctuary. So she's training this army, and eventually she earns the title of War Matron, which is granted by her queen Zera, the leader of the Ascari. So as far as we know, after Lord of Destruction, Cassia goes back to her home, and she begins helping train her army, and she actually gets War Matron as a title from her queen. So she's actually been very busy preparing for the next Diablo war. So as far as we know, that means Cassia is still active as of Diablo 3, and she's, as I mentioned, a playable hero in Heroes of the Storm. For the Necromancer, we find out the Necromancer's name is Xul. Xul as in X-U-L. As a Necromancer, he believes the balance between the light and the dark is an absolute must, and if one of those sides tilt towards the other, the world would fall into ruin. So when Diablo returned in Diablo 2, the side of darkness tilts towards the balance in its own favor, so against the light. So the Necromancer feels he needs to leave his mausoleum. They live in crypts and mausoleums for whatever reason. He leaves in the southern swamps to join the group of heroes to defeat the three primevals. After Lord of Destruction, when the primevals are defeated and balance has been restored, Xul continues to serve the balance in his own way, training one apprentice that we know of.
2 decades ago, my mentor faced the forces of evil and emerged victorious. I cannot hope to surpass his achievements, but I will try to bring balance to the raging forces that threaten to tear the world asunder in these days.
We actually meet this apprentice, Matan, in the desert in Diablo 3 when we are questing in Act 2. During this time, Xul actually also manages to reach the rank of Master Necromancer and is still active as of Diablo 3 as far as we know. He's even a playable hero in Heroes of the Storm, so all I know is that he's definitely active, he's still around, restoring the balance where he can. For the Barbarian, we have a lot of interesting facts about this one. Initially, the Barbarian in Diablo 3 was going to be the same Barbarian from 20 years ago in Diablo 2. At least that's what Blizzard was saying in one interview that I remember seeing. They actually wanted the Diablo 3 Barbarian to be the same one 20 years later from Diablo 2. But then apparently they scrapped that idea for whatever reason. Players still have mixed opinions on whether Blizzard chose to use the same Barbarian, but what we do know is that the Diablo 3 Barbarian does occasionally reference events from Diablo 2. For example, when Zoltan Kuhl asks the Barbarian if he has ever seen archives like his, the Barbarian references that he has seen the World Stone. In order to visit the World Stone, he would have had to defeat the Ancients themselves, or be in possession of the Relic of the Ancients, like Baal was in possession of in Diablo 2. Both of these particular requirements has likely not even been achieved by any other Barbarian other than the Diablo 2 Barbarian himself. Now, while this example could be proof the Diablo 3 Barbarian is in fact the same Barbarian from Diablo 2, it is possible that when Blizzard changed their minds about this, they just made a mistake and forgot to take some of this dialogue out when they changed their mind on the two Barbarians being the same canonically. It's also important to note that the Barbarian in Heroes of the Storm is the female Barbarian Sonya from Diablo 3, which would make Sonya the canon barbarian, similar to how Li Ming, the female wizard, is the canon wizard who trained as a student under Essendra, the Diablo 2 sorceress. Now, that's not to say there is no Diablo 3 male barbarian at all in the lore, but it is important to say that when Blizzard did choose a gender for the class representation in, say, Heroes of the Storm, they went with Sonya, the female barbarian. So it's possible the male barbarian is simply a gameplay option and not actually a canonical barbarian that we use to defeat Diablo. For the sorceress's name is Essendra. So all of our sorceresses that we have been playing in Diablo 2, that is Essendra. After Lord of Destruction, Essendra goes to teach at the Yashari Sanctum in the desert, which is where the Diablo 3 wizard character, Li Ming, was trained. While Essendra was trying to prevent a drought in Loup Bahadur, I hope I pronounced that right, I'm so sorry, she was assassinated by a member of the Vij Qatar. So there's actually a short story you can read. I'm going to leave it in the description below because I love short stories, little bits of lore about the game. So if you want to actually go see, I recommend going to the link in the description. You'll get to read a short story about Li Ming and our Diablo 2 sorceress that we all love very much in Diablo 2, Essendra. So anyways, while she's here, she's trying to stop a drought, and she ends up getting assassinated by a member of the Vij Qatar who was sent by Elder Valthek, the head of the Yashari Sanctum. The Diablo 2 assassin Natalia was an assassin of the Vij Qatar, so how crazy would it be to have one of Essendra's old friends who helped her defeat Diablo come back to murder and betray her? The assassin's identity is not confirmed in the short story, but that would make for a really interesting story for sure. When Malthael's invasion began in Diablo 3, Li Ming actually meets Essendra's soul at the remains of the Pandemonium Fortress, where she finds out after Essendra's assassination, her soul was later claimed by Malthael when he attacked the Yashari Sanctum. She ends up helping Li Ming defeat Malthael. Now, as for the Druid, the Paladin, and the Assassin, we know a bit here and there, such as the Assassin was Natalia in Act 3, if you guys remember. But in terms of what happened to them at the end of Diablo 2, where they went when the Primevals were defeated, we know absolutely nothing about the fates of the Druid, the Paladin, and the Assassin. So, unfortunately, we just don't have any information to go on. They could have perished during the battle with Baal, they could have died, since it was indicated by Blizzard that not all of the heroes may have survived. And there was also a rumor that the Assassin who murdered Essendra may have even been Natalia, as I mentioned, but nothing actually confirms this. So, while we do have at least 5 out of the 8 characters to be confirmed either alive or active or with some kind of fate like the sorceress dying, we don't really have anything to go on for the Druid, the Paladin, and the Assassin. This is actually one of the biggest issues I have with Diablo 2. Before Heroes of the Storm actually came out, almost every character here, we had no idea what happened to them. So like the Assassin, for example, or the Necromancer, we had no idea what happened to them or even basic information like their names until they were introduced in Heroes of the Storm. So before Heroes of the Storm, I had no idea that the Necromancer was Zool and he did all these crazy things after Diablo 2, or that the Amazon was named Cassia and then she trained all these warriors. You know, it's just really cool to see some information come in from other games like Heroes of the Storm. But overall, those are the fates of the Diablo 2 characters. Let me know what you guys thought. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on my next one.